Welcome to the Prime Health Podcast with your host, Dr. Derek Barron. Dr. Barron interviews doctors, wellness experts, and healthcare leaders who are revolutionizing how we approach health and longevity. The Prime Health Podcast explores breakthrough science, personal and patient stories, and practical insights that are shaping the future of health and wellness. So sit back, listen in, and prepare to transform how you think about your path towards Prime Health with Dr. Barron and his special guest.
Hello, my name is Dr. Derek Barron, and welcome to another amazing episode of the Prime Health Podcast. We interview doctors, nurses, wellness experts, and healthcare leaders who are revolutionizing how we approach health and longevity. We explore breakthrough science, personal and patient stories, and practical insights that are shaping the future of health and wellness. Now, before we get into today's episode and our amazing guest, a quick note from our sponsor of the Prime Health Podcast, and that is Grow Solutions, where we help and we partner up with businesses to help busy health and wellness professionals. We help them with a lot of headaches that they have, whether it's lead generation or it's video work that they want done. We try and simplify things, even utilizing AI. So if you've ever said to yourself, I'm too busy to grow, I'm too slow to scale, or I'm too overwhelmed to fix it, we'd love to have a conversation with you. Just drop the word grow below or reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll do what I can to help you. But now we're on to the star of the podcast today, and that's Dr. Jeff D. Gross. He's a neurosurgeon in the Las Vegas area, and he's a regenerative medicine pioneer known as the stem cell whisperer. Starting from humble roots in a small town in Ohio, I love the Midwest connection. He became one of the youngest researchers to publish medical research and earned his degree from Berkeley, studying under some Nobel Prize winners. He completed medical school at George Washington University, where his virology research contributed to COVID-19 diagnostic improvements. Dr. Gross specializes in spinal neurosurgery and has successfully treated 95% of his patients without surgery, focusing on stem cell and regenerative approaches. His landmark laser research in brain tissue has been cited in nearly 500 different journals and different times. He's authored the spine chapter in a leading stem cell medicine textbook and lectures at major biohacking conferences worldwide. And I believe he was at RadFest just within the last 10 days or so. Notably, Dr. Gross has donated over $100 million in patient care over 2 decades, refusing to bill Medicare or Medicaid while championing patients against insurance fraud. He maintains an active practice, seeking patients internationally and remotely with a mission to help patients avoid unnecessary surgery through innovative regenerative treatments. Dr. Gross, I want to welcome you to the Prime Health Podcast.
Wow, thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Now, I always ask this question to start out with because I think it's a unique starting off point, and that is, was there something in your history of a young man growing up as you aged, or what really got you into healthcare?
Yeah, it was something I was always wired to do. I remember I was at a YMCA day camp in Ohio, and I must have been, first grade or something in the summer. A kid fell off a swing and hit his head and was bleeding. Of course, all the kids ran away. They used this phrase, he cracked his head open. So I became a neurosurgeon. And I think looking back, that may have had something. Of course, you have a caring instinct. You want to help others. So I think the pieces come together early. So that's what I would say.
So then how was there a transition from the neurosurgeon into regenerative medicine?
Well, my patients get a lot of the credit for that. So, you're in the spine field, right? You're a chiropractor, physician, and I was a spine neurosurgeon. So most of my career until about 2018-19 was treating people with neck and back pain and problems, spinal cord issues, pinched nerves, things like that. I'm on the other end of the spine than you are, right? You adjust externally, I adjust internally, right?
Correct.
So I had always been the guy to say no to surgery, tell people, okay, here's how you avoid it. No one knows better than the surgeon to tell people how not to see the surgeon, right? I had many colleagues in the chiropractic space that would trust me because of that. And that was always good. The short of it was a lot of people would try everything, right? Chiropractic, physical therapies of other kinds, acupuncture, medications, injections, McKinsey strengthening, this and that, and lots of brace, supplements, herbs, prayer, whatever. They would come in and they say, I've tried everything. The injections help for a minute. The therapy is good as long as I'm in it, but my back, my neck is still holding up. I said, well, the only thing left on the menu is surgery. Oh, no, I'm not ready for surgery. I said, good. There's way too much surgery being done. out there. It's getting a bad rap. I'm not going to be that guy. And they'd say, what else you got? Not really much. And they go, well, how about lasers? How about crystals? How about stem cells? How about stem cells? How about, you hear stem cells over and over. And you know those, Derek, chance favors the prepared mind. So my undergraduate background is in that area. And, I studied that once upon a day, and then you get busy, you whisk off to med school or chiropractic school, you do your residency, and you treat patients, and you love those topics, but you just haven't done much with them. I got to tell you, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of going to these neurosurgery spine meetings and having these bow tie wearing knuckleheads pat themselves on the back for doing the same thing since 1940s.
Yeah.
There's nothing's changed in spine surgery. You either open up the spine and make more room, you fuse the spine together, which is barbaric, even though it's needed sometimes, or you do some element of both of those. Yeah, there's a new approach, maybe a microscopic approach, maybe a minimally invasive approach, maybe a new widget to put in there, but we're not doing anything different. And these guys would repeat and regurgitate the same. Some guy, just a study of 50 patients we looked at with that same thing was published 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I decided one year, you know what? I'm not closed-minded. I'm going to go to some of these stem cell conferences and regenerative medicine meetings. And I started going there instead, and it opened my world. And I went back and retrained and retooled. And I just wanted to add regenerative medicine, stem cells, exosomes, PRP, things to my practice to fill that gap between surgery and the other non-surgical treatments. Yeah. But it's blossomed into so much more. It's almost all I do now. So there you go.
So I would imagine that as you made that decision, the Christmas cards that kept coming in to you went down from your fellow neurosurgeons.
It's true. A lot of my colleagues, and I take a big, I'm looking back at it now. I've stepped out of it. I can look at it, right? Sort of more like a third person. Sure. And there's this rush to mediocrity, rush to doing what the insurance is paying for instead of what's right for the patient. So I'm happy not to get those Christmas cards anymore. Yeah, a lot of my colleagues think I'm woo-woo crazy and stuff. Right. Meanwhile, I've never been professionally happier. My patients are getting more time with me. They're getting more attention. We're addressing the root cause, and we're not doing anything that involves a big incision and stitches.
Yeah. And I think that is what it should be, as it is to do no harm, correct? And not that you are intending to do harm as a physician and going in and doing surgery. That's not the intent at all.
Right.
But if you can do anything outside of that, I think that's the best way to approach it. And, I'm sure your colleagues are now every once in a while seeing you and tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Dr. Jeff, can you explain to me a little bit more about how you approach this?
A couple have seen it. And I'm out speaking and writing now and educating people that there are options besides you don't have to leave the country to get stem cells and some of the things it can do. And now that I'm publishing some of those results, people are like, wow, is that possible? Like, well, I'm not publishing it for any other reason but to show what's possible. So I think some people are actually open-minded enough to take a look at it. It's coming.
So in your company, you transitioned basically from a lot of neurosurgery to the regenerative medicine, and your company is called ReCELLebrate. Is that correct?
Yeah, ReCELLebrate.
And then who helps you make up your team at your business?
Well, I have an aesthetics nurse now. So I went from doing, spine surgery to beautification because the regeneratives have benefits on the skin on the outside. She also helps with anything we do intravenous. I still do most of my spine and joint work as injections with the regeneratives. And that we do at a local surgery center. So they have a team there. And then I have, business and admin people. But we've always been very lean, as you mentioned at the outset. And I think health insurance is a scam. So you got to have it, but for the catastrophic stuff. But so we've been far afield from that. So I don't need 3 extra people calling insurance companies to fight denials. So we've been very lean here.
Do you have some patients that will come in that are considering the surgical route with somebody in town or out of town? Yeah. How do you explain the difference in your practice now versus how you used to be, and why choosing you is the best benefit for them?
I don't want to sell me. I want to educate them to help make the right decision that fits them. So most of my patients now do come from out of town. We do most of our initial work by remote video like you and I are doing here.
Okay, great.
And if they need an MRI and they're from Syracuse, New York, we order an MRI and then they send it to me or digitally send it to me, and I can pop it up on my screen and share it with them. We can talk it through, send you records. So a lot of what I do is that. And we only invite people here to Greater Las Vegas to see me if I think I can help them. And we do turn people away. Like, I don't think I can help this person. So I'd say that a lot of people have seen another doctor and they were offered, let's say, a knee replacement. Because I'm doing actually more joints now than I am spine.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it just falls into this realm. So they said, oh, I saw my orthopedic doctor. I asked about stem cells. He said, oh, that's not legal, or that's not yet ready for prime time. And I say, well, you know what? That's okay. Don't fault that doctor. I was that guy 7 years ago. And I took the blinders off. I put down the Kool-Aid and I went back and retrained. And then I show those patients medical evidence. I show them publications. I show them clinical follow-up. I mean, the Europeans and the Asians are 2 decades ahead of us on this. Yeah. So, and that's why professional athletes used to leave this country to go and get these treatments. Now they stay here. But, you know, Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, these people went to Europe to get these things for a reason, right? They're on the cutting edge of this. Here in Vegas, we have all kinds of athletes now. We have pro sports. We have the summer league. We have the mixed martial art fighters and stuff. Yeah. We see quite a few. So I would say a lot of my patients have looked up stem cells. They're already a little inclined to seek a non-surgical option. And I just explained, listen, we could try the injection. Give it 6 to 12 months. If you're not completely satisfied and we can't find something else to do, you can always have the surgery. But once you have the surgery, I can't undo it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, great point. So I want to get into some specifics, but since people call you the stem cell whisperer, if you don't mind, how would you essentially explain stem cell therapy or stem cell treatment to a patient coming in your doors?
Well, stem cells and other regenerative biologics is sort of the group we refer to. This is tapping back into how a baby is made. It's tapping back into how we biologically heal, restore, maintain, and replace as a younger person. But as we get older, that cellular biology isn't as robust. Our immune system isn't as good. We can't heal as fast. Think about, you know, you have kids, right, Derek? So when your kids were really young, and they scrape a knee on the sidewalk, they cry, mom cleans it up, puts a little Bactine on there or whatever you use and put a Band-Aid on it, give them a kiss, send them on their way, right? And then 2 or 3 days later in the bathtub, the scab is almost completely healed, right? Whereas you and I bump our arm, we got a bruise for 2 weeks. So we're the same person I used to be when I was 3 years old. What happened? How come I can't heal as well? Because our stem cells they're exposed to the world of electromagnetic fields and toxins and pesticides and bad thoughts and stress and not enough exercise. So, you know, and our cells are inflamed, you know, chronically inflamed. They're collecting junk, and they're not as good as those fresh out baby stem cells. So tapping back into that biological knowledge and reapplying it in a trick or a hack, a biohack, to get our old bodies to heal and repair like they should have or they used to, is the exact nature of stem cell therapy and regenerative medicine.
Okay. Do you mind differentiating stem cell? And I know there's a lot of biologics, but 2 of the main ones that are probably out there right now are stem cell therapy and PRP therapy. Difference between those?
Would you let me expand that to the 3 main ones?
So say exosomes?
I was going to say exosomes.
Okay. We're on the same page.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So PRP is like the low level basic regenerative offering where you have the blood drawn from yourself, a number of vials. It's spun in a centrifuge, separating out the red cells from the plasma, which are the liquid in the blood. And then in between, there's a little layer called the buffy coat. In there, you have platelets and you have a lot of growth factors that are concentrated, and you can pipette those out without taking the red or the plasma and group them together. It makes a healing serum that you can inject into a tennis elbow, or you can use it for the face for looking younger. It's called a vampire facial. And other applications. Usually you have to do 2 or 3 treatments, and that's okay. It's a good treatment. In fact, health insurance has started to pay for it because they figured out that's cheaper than the surgery.
Okay.
I should remind everyone here that the FDA has not approved for marketing claims PRP, stem cells, or stem cell-derived exosomes. That doesn't mean it's illegal. It doesn't mean you can't do it. This is part of informed consent between your clinician and yourself, good education, and transparency. So just because it's not approved by the FDA for marketing claims doesn't mean it's unapproved or disapproved for your doctor to use it, if that's what's best for you. And one of the ways we help patients is protect their access to things they'd like to try that have shown benefit elsewhere, because we're not just shooting from the hip. We're going off of medical evidence published in the literature. So anyway, that's PRP. More potent than that would be stem cells. And stem cells can come from your own body or a younger donor. So your own body means you got to go into your bone marrow pouch and take a bunch of cells and bone marrow and get it down to the cells. So like I said, though, us old guys, Derek, if I can lump us together there. Yeah, I don't know. Let's compare notes. I'm going to be 60 this year.
I'm 55, so you look younger than I do. I'll say you got good hair.
I do a lot of exosomes, but thank you for that. So the stem cells, I don't like to use old stem cells. You can, they have benefits. All these things help to some degree, but why bother when you can get the high octane stuff from a young source? So the young source is usually a donated umbilical cord in a mother who just had her baby by C-section. Congratulations, Mom. We were going to throw that away. Can we have it? That's how that goes. And from there are stem cells, and they get cultured and tested and all that. So that's how you get the younger source of stem cells. There are other methods to get stem cells, but that's probably the most common source. And those are good. When you get those stem cells, let's say you came over to the office here in Henderson, Nevada. I gave you an IV of stem cells because you wanted to, you want to look like me when you get to 60.
I want to look like you when I get to 56.
The issue is they'd be gone and out of your system in 10 to 14 days, but the benefits would last longer. So you got to ask yourself as a man of science, hey, if the cells are gone, what's still going on if I'm benefiting? Well, it turns out the cells aren't really doing the work. The cells are delivering smaller messaging particles to our cells. Our cells are doing the work.
Okay.
Our cells are working better, more youthful, more restorative, more regenerative. And they're doing that through these small messaging out bubbling from a cell called an extracellular vesicle, or for short, exosome.
Okay.
All cells make exosomes. Yucky sick cells make sick exosomes. Stem cells from amniotic fluid, also donated by the mother after she has her baby, that material, those exosomes, are actually the business end of the stem cell. So you can skip the delivery vehicle and the middleman and go right to the business end. That's the exosomes from stem cells. And they contain growth factors, peptides, microRNAs, heat shock proteins. They are taken in by our cells. Our cells then are influenced to behave better. They're influenced to call upon genes that are already there that fight inflammation, that are anti-inflammatory, as opposed to the chronic, oxidized, inflamed cell status we all have from our environment and our life, right? We've collected a lot of junk. So this really helps supercharge our cells. And that's why the stem cells are out of the system, but the exosomes are doing the work. So we skip ahead. We like the exosomes. They're about a third of the cost with about the same benefit. So we get off the shelf stem cell derived exosomes with growth. It's really just filtered amniotic fluid is what we're using. Yeah.
All three of those, but I would assume exosomes more so are going to affect longevity and your health span even greater.
They all will. You think about PRP, it has some stem cells and exosomes in it, some growth factors. Stem cells have even more of that. I think exosomes, when you concentrate them, is probably the best bang for the buck in terms of fighting inflammation. And when you're fighting inflammation, you're slowing the cellular aging process. So you're actually, people call this inflammaging, right? So if you can fight against inflammation, you're slowing the age. And some people have shown a reversal in their biological age. There are these tests you can do to telomere length and things, markers in the cell, glycations on the antibody, methylation spots on the DNA. All this can be studied, and they are markers for the effective age of your body.
So you mentioned, Dr. Jeff, that you've had, you're starting to treat some extremities. A typical patient with knee pain will go to an orthopedic surgeon, or probably start with their primary care, maybe give them, a script for PT. PT didn't work. Let's go and try the orthopod. So why do you think that they should come to your office before jumping to the orthopedic office?
No, I want you to go see the orthopod first. I
Okay.
want you to get the traditional first. And if your orthopedic doctor is open-minded, modern trained, and does regenerative, you don't need to see me. And there are some out there. It's a growing niche within medicine and within orthopedics. So I want you to see that doctor. I don't want you to have to travel to Las Vegas unnecessarily. But if your orthopedic doctor says, oh, no, that's crazy, that's illegal, they are not willing to discuss it. It's not in their realm. They want to do cortisone shots, which have a role in the acute severe condition, but repeatedly can cause more harm than good in the whole process of a wearing and tearing joint that we call osteoarthritis.
Okay.
So I want to see people as second opinions, or people that want to skip to the head of the line and say, I'm not goofing around with this. I've got this old knee injury. I had a knee scope a few years ago. I'm starting to have some aches and pains. I know the ortho is going to say knee replacement. I want to do something now to slow that degeneration, potentially reverse it, and never have to see the ortho. Those are the people I want to talk to.
Love it. Yeah, because once again, just like spine surgery with knee surgery, you can have it done again, but you're boring out that fibula, you're boring out that tibia, no matter, the femur, no matter where you're at, you only have so many chances at that. So you got to be careful. I like how you're telling them to see their care first, and then when they need you, you'll always be there for them.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions that you hear out there about regenerative medicine?
Well, first, that it's illegal, which is nonsense. If you make a marketing claim that you can cure or treat a disease or condition, you're non-compliant, but you're not illegal. Second, that we're getting these products from aborted fetuses. That's absolute nonsense. There's no report of that. Third, that you could reject these materials. We've never seen that. Fourth, that they're cost prohibitive, which is not the case. The exosomes have brought it way down. It's way less than having a surgery, and it may be around about what your deductible is. So even though insurance doesn't pay for it, and I don't want them to, they'll screw it up. This is probably the way to do it. And, it's doable. It's simple. And there's no downtime.
Okay.
You can go right back on the golf course the next day.
So if somebody's listening to this and they're wondering, boy, can exosomes help me? Can PRP? Can stem cells? What are the conditions that you commonly see come into your office?
So we're commonly seeing large joint problems, knee, hip, shoulder. We do all the way down to thumb joints and fingers and toes and ankles. People have had surgeries in the past, maybe some kind of old fracture or a cleanup. And then spine, mostly facet joints. Discs are the holy grail of spine, and we have some partial solutions to that. We are waiting for something coming. It's called Muse cells, M-U-S-E cells, which are a subset of stem cells. Those Muse cells will make their own exosomes. That combined with some hydrogel. The Chinese have some experience here and have reported on disc regeneration. So as you know, the disc is made of two components, right? And it's the nucleus that you really want to regenerate, and the annulus too. But the annulus we've got figured out. That's kind of a normal cartilage, but fibrocartilage. But the nucleus is from a whole different embryonic tissue. So the Muse cells are multilineage from all the different tissues. So we'll be one of the first clinics to have it.
Would that be intradiscal injection of that material?
That would be. So we do for the annulus, we do end plate injection. And for the disc, we will do into the nucleus of the disc injection. Just to be clear, there are wonderful studies out there with people using PRP and stem cells and exosomes in intradiscal. The results are mixed. So, we only want to enter a disc if we have the solution because, disc is supposed to not experience oxygen. It's kind of this weird bubble inside between your vertebral bones, right? Those cells respond to low oxygen. So we don't want to introduce oxygen.
Got it. So once you go in again, you got to be careful once you're in there. You'll have to be on the lookout for that Muse cell.
Good.
So kind of doing some research background on you, I saw that you have a nutraceutical line called Longevix. Do you mind sharing some info about that?
Yeah, thanks for that. So, I study exosomes. I read. I'm an ongoing nerd, so I'm always looking up something. I stumbled about 2 years upon the concept that all cells make exosomes, including plants. Not only that, plants make exosomes that communicate with animal cells. So our cells actually respond to plant-derived exosomes. And so I found that interesting. Next, I found out that the plant exosomes have a stabler membrane and can survive the GI tract. Then I found out that most of the exosomes of plants is the most common delivery of phytonutrients. So, what are those? Most of the plant molecules that deliver health benefits to our cells, like resveratrol, quercetin, glutathione, spermidine, fisetin, vitamin Bs except B12, vitamin C, all those things made by plants are in their exosomes. So a supplement company right now, if you went to your big box store and wanted to buy some supplements to take, they have taken the fruit, powdered it, and opened up the exosomes and taken out the contents. You have to take them orally, goes into your bloodstream, you digest some in the GI tract, lose it there. In the bloodstream, you lose some. Very little of it gets to your cells. Well, the exosomes from plants meld with your cells through endocytosis. They take in the contents at a higher concentration. So I was able to work with a lab, it's in Italy, that can extract fruit exosomes. So we've chosen these curated organic Italian fruits known for their anti-aging qualities in the blue zone. So you're looking at different kinds of oranges, lemon, grapefruit, bergamot, which is kind of a lime thing, mango, and papaya. And we take these exosomes and we put them in a single capsule. That capsule has about 1 billion plant exosomes. You'd have to eat 70 times the juice. Take out the fiber, take out the pulp, 70 times the juice to get one capsule. Well, you're not going to drink 70 times that juice. That's the sugar is too much.
Yeah.
Or you'd have to eat bushels and bushels of fruit, and you couldn't eat that much in a day, Right. So we've got it down to a single capsule. So you think about like those athletic greens and those powders. This is like a whole tub of that in one capsule in terms of the phytonutrients and the exosomes. Then additionally, that one capsule a day, so that's a 70x concentration. Because it's exosomal and it survives the GI tract, your cells get 10 to 50x concentration better. So 70 times 10 to 50 is 700 to 3,500x more phytonutrients. That's why you only need one little capsule a day. You can get rid of a lot of these other ones. And that's why we came up with these Longevex. So this is exosomes for longevity. So we've got it all, I think, figured out. And this is just the start. We've got some other things. We're working with ginger and curcumin and other things that might help with certain disease processes that we're looking at.
So what would you say should like, what's the overall purpose of taking that? Longevity, skin care, overall body health? What would be the purpose behind the Longevex?
Well, the initial studies do show reduction in cellular inflammation and cellular oxidation and increase in sirtuin-1 gene activity. And for those listening, sirtuin-1 is the master anti-aging gene in the mitochondria. So that's where we get the longevity. Those two things are longevity markers. So this is probably best for longevity because it's helping your cellular health. It should reduce inflammation across your cells. So it can help address an inflammatory issue, because anything you do to suppress inflammation helps stave off and stop and possibly reverse disease, as it does slow the process of aging of the cells. So I'd say this is a great way to focus on longevity and health in a natural single capsule a day. Simple.
Love it. And I'll make sure to share the links to that inside of our show notes, just so people can learn that about you. From a business/practice standpoint, have you noticed a demand for regenerative therapies in your office?
Yes. And I say yes because we're helping to create that demand by educating people. Being on your show here today helps us let people know it's okay. It's okay to get another opinion. It's okay to ask these questions. It's okay to ask stem cell questions because, we just talked about joints and spine, but there's so many other applications we have here. Exosomes have been useful for brain injury and been shown useful for people recovering from heart attack, stroke. Exosomes are small enough to cross the blood-brain barrier, so they're great for problems of the nervous system. We even have had some benefits in helping children with autism spectrum disorders have improved attention. There are all kinds of things we're looking at right now.
Yeah, it's not the wild, wild west. It's the great new west is really what it is. It's a way in which the wild, wild west has negative connotations, and so did stem cell therapy, I think, at the beginning. Now people are realizing because they're out searching for it. So you've had success along the way. What would you say you attribute your businesses, your practices success to?
Well, I've made a lot of mistakes, so maybe learning from those mistakes is one of the big ones too.
But you learn and we're in trouble.
I would say be more rapidly adaptable. I'm very slow to change, and I wish I were faster to change. Every time I've made a bold change, it's been a good one, or the good people around me have helped support that. So don't get stuck. There's a book, you don't even need to read it, just know the title. I think it's called My Iceberg is Melting. If your iceberg is melting, you got to go find that new iceberg.
Especially if you're a polar bear, you got to find a new place to go.
You do.
Yeah. So from your business perspective, what are you focusing on right now?
Well, this whole world of becoming having a side business in the nutraceutical industry has taught me a lot. So, and that's just our first product. So I really want to expand that for people and have different exosomal products, because there aren't exosome products on the market that give this type of concentrated delivery. So I really am upending, or trying to upend the supplement industry. I've already gotten some letters, cease and desist letters and other patent infringement things, and I'm squashing those quickly. I think that is really what's exciting, and that I'm doing that's really outside the box, because I'm a physician. I'm not a businessman by trade, but I'm learning a lot, and we're enjoying that. We've got some skin products coming based on exosomes as well that are fresh frozen. You have to keep in the refrigerator. So some really interesting things.
From a business standpoint, again, are there challenges that you're facing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the regulatory issues here, I'm very careful. I made that little proviso earlier. We're not making any claims that we're curing or treating. I can show you examples. We can talk about the medical evidence that's out there. But, my free speech is legally suppressed. So I have to be really careful, because I want to be compliant. I want to be transparent. We tell everybody that. I know that I still have friends getting warning letters from the FDA, because even though we have someone at the top who's got these open-minded ideas, the bureaucrats at the bottom are still doing what the last administration wants them to do.
Yeah.
So, DOJ hasn't gone in and fixed that yet. But I would say that other challenges, there's always economic challenges. Like, I want to invest in all these different exosome supplements, but you have to get one going and let it pay for itself, and then help support the next one and all that, right? So everything I do goes back into the machine.
Yeah. Smart. That's how you grow the business. You don't grow by sitting back. So it's challenging. Nobody wants to take too many risks, but it sounds like you've made the correct risks along the way and the choices. So from a patient impact perspective, what do you tell patients about realistic expectations when they get an injection of one of your biologics?
15 years. But I'm going to show you the 15-year data.
Right.
I'm doing it the way they do it. So I don't think I'm going to get worse. I guess I shouldn't expect better, although I'd like to. We should be right in the sweet spot of what they got. And they showed that after 15 years, over 82% of the patients they injected were still not needing a joint replacement that they were recommended 15 years prior.
Okay.
So they salvaged people with joint, bone-on-bone joint issues, end-stage joint degeneration, for at least 15 years, and 80-some% of the patients in the bone-injected group. So expectation-wise, I say, look, it took you 9 months to grow that joint in the first place, because as you're an infant, you're still making it. So it's going to take 6 to 12 months before I expect to see anything. So, I want to temper things with this is a project. And if you are not healthy, if you're not exercising, if you're not eating right, if you're taking substances you shouldn't be taking, or way too many of them, and we find that optimizing patients first is ideal for their recovery. This might include, tweaking their sleep, their exercise, their diet, their mindset, hormone optimization therapy, all kinds of things.
Okay. So leading towards the success of your patient outcomes, can you share a great story you have about a patient's amazing outcome with services at your practice?
Yeah, I have this sweet woman. I think she was 79 when she first saw me, and she was retired. She lives locally, and she would paint these large river rocks with ornate, colorful. She brought me one. I use it as a paperweight in my other office here, and it's beautiful. And she came in and she said, I just can't make these anymore. I'm having trouble cooking. I can't sew. I can't, my hands. She had osteoarthritis. She had old aches and pains, and she was tough. She wasn't complaining much. And she's like, I'm really going to go downhill quickly here. And I'm independent. I drive, I do my own thing. I live by myself. So we gave her an IV of the stem cell derived exosomes. And by the next day, She was back to cooking and crafting and painting. And because we suppressed the inflammation at the cellular level at all these joints, so the pain started to go down. And she I saw her in follow up a little bit later, and she said, "I'm so happy. Thank you. When will I need another one?" And I said, "Well, you tell me." So it was well over a year before she called and said, "I think it's time." So they don't always last that long, but she must have been so inflamed that she got a big benefit. I love that story. She's had another IV. I've seen her. I think she's 82 now. So I'll probably see her again in half a year or a year when it's time.
From a vision standpoint, where do you see your business in the next 5 years?
We're putting in the state-of-the-art injection facility to do all these joints and spine work. I love not doing surgery, but I love procedures. I see myself every day having a lineup of injections to do in the afternoon, meeting with patients. Even now I'm a surgeon, I like awake patients. I want to talk to them. I want to educate them. I want to show them their images and correlate it with their problems. And then when I'm not with patients or doing procedures, working on the nutraceuticals or the skin products and reading and developing and having new regenerative offerings, biologic offerings for people that are natural, low or no side effects, and it's something that doesn't involve surgery and pharmaceuticals.
Okay. I want to give you an opportunity to brag. I know you don't like to do it, but what would you say as a differentiator in your community or nationally, regionally, globally, whatever it is, but what makes you better and or different than anyone else out there?
Well, I think it's because I will take the time to listen to patients and ask questions and not just treat their MRI, and sadly in the watered down sick care system, people only have 5 minutes with their doctor, right? Because the doctor has to see 12 people an hour in order to pay the 30 staff members to be fighting with the insurance company on the phone. So we've removed that nonsense so that I can practice at the highest level.
Okay. So if people want to learn more about you, learn more about your products, your company, ReGenesis, where can they learn more about you? How can they see more of you?
Well, I think we're the only people using this brand name ReCELLebrate, ReCELLebrate. So our Instagram is at ReCELLebrate, and we have educational stuff. We have funny stuff. Follow us, please. And then we have ReCELLebrate.com is our website. And, if you're interested in a nutraceutical, I'll give you a link, Derek, later you can put in the show notes. So we'd love for you to try it and give your feedback. We sell it in a 60-day supply in a glass bottle. We're trying to get away from the microplastics. So we went nice. And we've got Mylar bag sort of refill pouches. So you keep your glass bottle and you get a refill if you want to, do the subscription or get another one. So that's how you find it. ReCELLebrate on LinkedIn, on Facebook, or wherever you look. I think we got quartered the internet on that word. So
fantastic. I'll make sure to drop all the links that you provide me in the show notes for sure. So Dr. Gross, I really want to thank you very much for taking your time out of your day. I have to say it's been a pleasure. I like the jovialness that you have, the youthfulness on your side. So I can say I'm a younger partner of yours if you wish, but you sure don't look like it as compared to me. So one thing we'll ask is if you thought that this was a great episode, please share it. And I don't mean for me, I mean for your neighbor, for a family or a friend. There are people that need these types of services. It's nothing against a primary healthcare physician or an orthopedic surgeon that isn't doing this. Maybe even share it with them. And then they can call Dr. Gross and ask some questions about it, because people around us need to hear more about what these regenerative medicine services can do. So until next time, remember that we're all on a path of true wellness, and it's a journey that we're on together.